Good afternoon. I want to welcome all of you on behalf of Forsyth Tech Community College, our Board of Trustees, our faculty, staff, and our students, and our community. I want to welcome all of you to what is a very special event for us today. I want to start off by thanking the people that made this event possible, and that is Sherry Bowen, who's the Director of the President's Office, and our other staff at Forsyth Tech who are here. We have a number of special guests, including our very special guest who's with us today. We have another number of very special guests with you, and then I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize at least some of them. First off, we have a number of members of our Board of Trustees with us today. Arnold King, DeWitt Rhodes, Andrea Keppel, and our chair, Ed Welch, is with us, and we welcome our board, and on behalf of our board, welcome all of you. We also have some former board members with us. Joyce Glass-Sweeten is with us, as well as Mr. Frank James is with us. And then we also have a member of the State Board of Education and a former board member, Buddy Collins, is with us today. We have some of our legislators. I know Senator Earlene Parman is here, and Senator Parman, welcome. Nice to have you, and thank you for your support. We have from the governor's office, Governor McCrory's education advisor, Eric Gucan, is with us. Eric, welcome. Nice to have you at Forsyth Tech today for your first visit here. First of, I hope, will be many. Many representatives of the law enforcement community, but I particularly want to recognize Forsyth County Sheriff Bill Schatzman is here. Sheriff Schatzman, thank you for being here and being our partner in law enforcement education in the community. I know Yadkin County Sheriff Rick Oliver is also here. And Rick, thank you for being here. I understood that Sheriff Mike Marshall from Stokes County was coming, but he may not be here yet. So, but want to recognize the partnership we have, certainly with Stokes County, and then the rest of our law enforcement officers and community that are here. Thank you all very much. And then, particularly the family and friends of Robert Joyce, and I know that Jarrett and Jason are here. And your families, so welcome and thank you all. I know the presence of the entire Joyce family, it means a lot to Robert, and we thank all of you for being here. And then I want to thank you all for joining us for this very special event as we recognize the naming of our programs in criminal justice, latent evidence, and other areas of law enforcement as the Robert F. Joyce School of Justice. We're here at the Northwest Forsyth Center of Forsyth Tech to publicly recognize the service and contribution of Robert Joyce. This is really a fitting recognition for a career of service to our community and to our college. Robert has been dedicated to the service of law enforcement and public safety and to the education of our community broadly and particularly in the areas of public service through his membership and his leadership with the Forsyth Tech Board of Trustees. The development of the center where we are today is in large part a result of that dedication to service of Robert Joyce. I have had the pleasure of being at Forsyth Tech for the last 12 years. And I can tell you during that time that law enforcement and public safety has had no greater advocate in our community and certainly within our college than Robert Joyce. The development of this center, the facilities that we have for police and sheriff and deputy training, and the specialized training we have in areas like latent evidence and other specialized areas are a result of his continuing advocacy and his continuing bringing that and keeping that before us over the years, and we're appreciative of that. I will say that our own security force, now our campus police force, Robert has been a strong advocate for that as well. And the college is really a better place because of his service, and we're here to celebrate that today. You know, as I was thinking about Robert and today, I kept coming back to, and I'll show my age here when I say this. There used to be an old TV show called The Naked City. Some of you may be old enough to remember that. But that show started off every week with the line of, "There are a million stories in the Naked City." And it was a crime drama. So it was all about police work and detective work and so on. Well, when I recall that line, I kind of think about Robert. There are a million stories about Robert Joyce. And I don't know near as many of them as many of you do. I do recall the story of him fighting off a mugger in Washington, D.C. When he went to a community college trustee meeting one time. I also remember him losing his car in Washington in a meeting one time with the trustees. Maybe shouldn't say that with the other sheriff's folks and all here, but that may have just been a rumor, Robert. I don't know. But I can tell you that Robert's got a lot of stories also. And as I came here from outside the area, I can tell you I learned a lot. I learned about North Carolina, especially Democratic politics, from Robert Joyce, going back to stories of Jim Hunt and other leaders of that. Now, I learned Republican politics from DeWitt Rhodes, but so it's been an equal opportunity board that we've had. But I can tell you, and I mean this in all seriousness, Robert Joyce has been a great supporter, advisor, and counselor to me in my period here, not just about political issues, but about the history of our community and the need for education and education throughout our community. And Robert, I want to thank you. I want to thank you personally for the education that you've helped provide me since I've been here, and I mean that in all seriousness. At this time, I want to introduce the chairman of the Board of Trustees at Forsyth Tech, Mr. Ed Welch, who will say a few words. Ed?
Thank you, Dr. Green. I certainly echo the comments President Green has just made about Robert and his mentoring and his leadership. And Robert, on behalf of our full Board of Trustees, we thank you for your ongoing and tireless energy in assisting us in a myriad of ways. And I might add that has continued since Robert was last on a full term as a trustee, and we're blessed beyond measure because of that. I want to take just a second to highlight some special Joyce people. Certainly, I don't think Judy has arrived yet, or has she? But let me say this. What I learned early on is that serving as a trustee, and especially representing the college in a myriad of venues and a lot of locations, requires some travel. And I have learned very quickly that Judy also has assisted the college in those venues and has traveled extensively with you on behalf of the college, and we thank her for that. Also, today, Jason and wife Felicia, if you'll wave hands there, okay, and Jarrett, but in particular, in addition to these special folks, I want to introduce you personally to some very special people. Franklin, would you wave your hand? Yes. Eli, very good. Luke, all right. Benjamin, all right. And Kathleen. Wave, Kathleen. Would you join me in welcoming and thanking the Joyce family? I think that perhaps there may be some other extended members of the Joyce family. And at this time, I think you're dispersed all over the audience. If you would just wave your hand so that we can recognize you as well. As Dr. Green has alluded, we at Forsyth Tech want to express our appreciation to all you distinguished leaders, all of you distinguished elected officials, you business and community leaders, law enforcement leaders, and all you folks throughout these various communities of Stokes and Forsyth and beyond who have certainly demonstrated time and time again your support for Forsyth Technical Community College. We never take that support, your support, lightly, and certainly on behalf of our trustees and all those affiliated with the college, we'll continue to strive to be the most worthy stewards of your trust, and we thank you for your presence today as we all celebrate with Robert. Albert Schweitzer is reported to have said, "I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I know. The only ones among you that will be really happy are the ones who have understood how to serve." Robert understands the value of service to others. He has served as Chairman, Forsyth County Nursing Home Advisory Committee, Chairman of the Advisory Committee for Adult Daycare Center, past Winston-Salem Arts Council Public Affairs Committee, Winston-Salem State University fundraiser, United Way fundraiser for State Employees Division, a member of Friedberg Moravian Church, where he's held many positions. In addition, Robert was appointed by Governor Jim Hunt in 1980 to the Board of Trustees at Forsyth Tech. Robert succeeded our fellow board member who is here today, DeWitt Rhodes, as board chair in 1981 until his term ended in 1985. May I interject his first term? He was reappointed to the Board of Trustees in 1991 by the Forsyth County Commissioners. In a letter written by former President, the late Dr. Bob H. Green, on September 17th, 1982, he stated, "Robert, I cannot really think of a higher honor than to have every member of the Board of Trustees present as at yesterday's meeting to submit your name for the nomination for chairmanship. Obviously, you have won and maintained their respect as a member of the board and leader." In 1995, he was reappointed by Governor Jim Hunt for 2 terms, and in 2003 by Governor Mike Easley for 2 terms, with his term ending in 2011 when he decided not to seek reappointment. Robert is an advocate and supporter of public safety training for all emergency services, not limited to police training, but including fire and emergency medical training. Robert, you have continually championed hard work, dedication, and commitment to task, always refusing to accept mediocrity or defeat. We all celebrate with you today your phenomenal legacy of leadership. You have always sought and attained the very best. Martin Luther King perhaps stated it best when he said, "All labor that uplifts humanity has dignity and importance and should be undertaken with painstaking excellence." Robert, you are the embodiment of the famous remarks of Dr. King. Again, congratulations to you and your family, but also I must echo, as I shared with you on your last day as an active board member in 2011, we are, without question, a better group of trustees. We certainly are also a better college because of you.
Thank you, Mr. Welch. Inevitably, as we make these comments, or at least inevitably for me, I leave somebody out. I failed to mention our county commissioners who are here today. And I know Robert worked very closely with the county commission during his years of service to the sheriff's department and as a trustee at Forsyth Tech. And we're really pleased and honored to have Bill Whitehart and David Plyler from our county commissioners, and our county manager, Dudley Watts, is here. Thank you all so much, again, for your support for the college and for having facilities like this to help train and support our public safety sector in the community. Thank you. With that, Robert, I'm going to ask you to just turn, and you can to get the corner of it here, I think, of our sign. And with that, we're going to unveil a sign that will recognize the Robert F. Joyce School of Justice. And I'll hold this for you if you want to help. Just no, I want you in here too, Dollar. Just go straight over with it. Y'all don't want a picture of me. And with that, Robert, I'll invite you to say a few words.
Thank you, Dr. Green. There's nothing better than being introduced by Dr. Gary Green and Chairman Ed Welch, because they can really build things up maybe more than they ought to, you know. So, but I appreciate that. I think we got Evelyn Terry in the back, who is one of our House members, and we're glad to have her here also. And I wasn't going to forget the commissioners, because that's where your money comes from, boy. You know, I'm going to try not to get too sentimental, because Judy told me not to cry, and I'm not going to if I can help it. When I decided not to seek reappointment, the board had a little reception for me, and told me what they planned to do and showed me a rendering of it, and I got a little emotional. But I told them that when I was a young man, I used to say you ought to have to die before you name a building after somebody. And the older you get, the less you believe that, I reckon. And but I don't know if they was trying to hint to me or something. But anyway, I appreciate them doing it. You know, y'all laughed a while ago, but as all of you know, even though I am kind of limited, I still tend to get in trouble at times. I didn't know whether they might put my name on here in Velcro or not, you know. But seriously, it's been a privilege for me to serve on this board since 1980. I was a very young man, younger than I knew. And I was appointed and served as chairman, and at the time I told people I was the youngest board member and the youngest chairman in the state of North Carolina, and that could have been true, I don't know, but I bragged about it anyway. Governor Hunt, as he said, appointed me to the board, and I served 6 years at that time, and then was reappointed by the county commissioners, and then appointed by Governor Hunt 2 more times and Governor Easley twice. I feel like we've done a good job. This school, when I first come on it, was fairly well recognized in the community, more as an industrial center, and a lot of your students at the time tend to want to apologize for going to Forsyth Tech. Now, after all these years, when you talk to them, and I do quite a bit around the community, they brag about going to Forsyth Tech. We have increased Forsyth Tech to 5 campuses in this community. Best I can figure, we've added 9 new buildings since 1980, and we've set up new programs that meet the need of this community as far as economic development is concerned. And you know, I'm quite proud of that. You know, some of the buildings are the Hoosier Hall and Almond Center, and of course West Campus, and now we've added. I keep saying we. I'm not on the board anymore, Doc, but we've added the Career Center and expanded the campus at actual Forsyth Tech at the administrative section, and of course built Swisher Center and Hoosier Hall and the Automotive Center and now this law enforcement center up here, and so Forsyth Tech has really come a long way. We have some in excess, I think, of 20,000 students. Isn't that correct? Total, yeah. Yeah, which is more, you know, than all the universities and schools in Forsyth County. I got a young man that worked for me several years ago. A lot of you know I had a Christmas tree lot when I could do it, and still have a few of them. Jason, my son, does, and Jarrett does now. But he's the editor of a magazine in this community. And as a matter of fact, I jumped on him yesterday, invited him today. I think he may have been afraid to come. But I told him, I said, you did an article in your Winston-Salem magazine and showed all the institutions in the county, and you put Forsyth Tech on the back page and split the page. And I went over all this with him. And I said, now we have, Forsyth Tech has over 20,000 students. We have more students than all the people you were focusing on in your magazine. And he said, well, I didn't know that, Robert. And I said, well, you ought to come and eat lunch with us tomorrow. And I'll tell you again when you get here. And I think that's probably why he's not here. I don't see. But I was lucky enough over the years, when you talk about law enforcement, I was raised in a law enforcement home. And I was the first hearing officer for registration appointed under Governor Bob Scott. Al DeGoff here took my job after I retired. And well, I didn't retire. I went to Governor Hunt appointed me as the head of Natural Resources and Community Development, NRCD. And I was like maybe 30 years old. And Graham Bennett took me to Raleigh and his dad. And I told him, I said, you know, I don't know a lot about this stuff. And they told me down there, said, you won't have to, you'll be the boss. And that was true. And I spent 8 years as a head of NRCD working with grants and things like that, and people like Frank James there and throughout the Northwest North Carolina, trying to do the best that I could for everybody in Northwest North Carolina. And the point is, I learned a lot. It was like getting an MBA, you know, in air quality and groundwater, cedar, housing, recreation, the zoo, planning, the parks. It was a wonderful thing that happened to a young man that was 30 years old. And as most of you know, in 1990, in 80, I'd planned to run for sheriff. I waited until, I was asked to wait until 1990, and actually wasn't asked to run in 1990, but I did, and I lost in a primary, and I helped Sheriff Ron Barker. And and he made me, at the time, his administrative officer and then chief deputy. And the county, Mr. Manager, made me what's called the undersheriff. And I was the only undersheriff that I know has ever been in North Carolina. Isn't that right, Sheriff? But it was quite a learning experience for me. But I used a lot of this previous stuff at NRCD and stuff that I learned at Forsyth Tech to be, I think, a good chief deputy. And we carried it back and forth from the sheriff's office to Forsyth Tech and worked on law enforcement and trying to improve the things in this county. And I hope that I did a good job, and I hope that I deserve this recognition today. And with that, I'm not going to say any more other than I appreciate all y'all coming. I appreciate my family coming. I hope that I've done something to make them proud. And I want all of you to come and eat lunch with me now. Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you once again to your service to the college and to our community. I know there are a lot more Robert Joyce stories, and I'm going to invite now all of you to please join us for lunch in the Northwest Forsyth Center directly behind us as we continue to celebrate Robert's service. Thank you all very much. Representative Terry, thank you for being here. I apologize for missing you earlier. Thank you for being here. Thanks to all of you for being here, particularly the Joyce family, for making this a very special day for Robert and for Forsyth Tech. Thank you all very much, and we'll adjourn to the building for lunch. Thank you.